Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring persistence
Persist.
through a spiritual lens.
Okay.
And you've shared some excerpts from The Widow's Secret with us
Right.
by Reuben Guma. It's a book that draws inspiration from the biblical parable of the persistent widow. And we'll be uncovering the story of Maria,
Okay.
diving into the parable's cultural context, and even exploring
Right.
how this ancient wisdom connects to modern neuroscience.
Yeah.
Are you ready to unlock some secrets with me?
Absolutely. Persistence, especially when rooted in faith, is a concept that really resonates deeply across cultures and time periods.
Yeah.
Let's see what the widow's secret reveals about its power.
Now, for those who might not be familiar, the parable of the persistent widow tells the story of a woman relentlessly seeking justice from an unjust judge. It's a story about the power of unwavering faith in the face of
Right.
seemingly impossible odds.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that Guma opens his book with a modern-day story that mirrors this ancient parable. It's the story of Maria,
Okay.
a single mother in southeast London facing eviction, drowning in debt, and feeling utterly lost.
Her situation is so relatable, especially in today's world.
Yeah.
The pandemic cost her job, and despite her efforts, she can't seem to catch a break. She's down to her last few pounds.
Oh, wow.
Facing eviction. And her friends have stopped taking her calls.
Right.
It's a bleak picture, but she has one thing left.
Oh.
Her faith.
And that's where the story takes a turn. At 3 a.m., with her kids sleeping in the next room, she falls to her knees and utters a simple but powerful prayer.
Oh, wow.
God, I don't know how, but I know you will. It's raw, desperate faith.
Wow.
The kind that refuses to give up.
And then on the fourth day, just hours before she's supposed to be evicted,
Right.
a miracle happens. A landlord from across town hears her story and offers her a place to live. No deposit.
Wow.
No complicated paperwork, just a fresh start. It's almost like something
Yeah.
out of the Bible, wouldn't you say?
It certainly echoes the divine intervention we often see in biblical stories.
Right.
But it also raises a thought-provoking question. Could Maria's unwavering faith have played a role in attracting this unexpected help?
Right.
It's something to ponder.
Absolutely. Now, Guma uses Maria's story as a bridge to the biblical parable that forms the foundation of his book, The Parable of the Persistent Widow.
Right.
You mentioned this earlier, but I think it's worth reminding everyone about
Yeah.
the details of this parable.
Of course. In this parable, a widow tirelessly petitions a corrupt judge for justice.
Right.
He's powerful and indifferent to her plight, but she refuses to be ignored.
Wow.
She shows up at his courtroom every morning, stands outside his gates,
Okay.
and just keeps pleading her case. It's almost like a one-woman protest against
Yeah.
the system.
And eventually worn down by her persistence, the judge gives in.
Right.
He grants her request not out of fairness, but because he's simply tired of her constant pleas. It's a powerful image, but it also begs the question. Why did Jesus choose this seemingly mundane story to illustrate a profound spiritual concept?
That's where delving into the cultural context becomes crucial.
Okay.
To understand the weight of the widow's actions.
Yeah.
We need to understand just how vulnerable widows were
Yeah.
in first century Judea.
Right. Guma really paints a vivid picture of their situation.
Right.
They lost their husbands, who were their providers, protectors,
Right.
and their connection to social standing. They were left with virtually no
Right.
financial support, no legal standing, and were often at the mercy of relatives or religious institutions for survival.
It's hard for us to grasp that level of vulnerability in today's world.
I know.
Imagine having to fight for every scrap of dignity and justice, constantly facing the threat of exploitation and poverty.
Wow.
It was a system that intentionally marginalized women, especially widows.
And that's what makes Jesus' choice of a widow to illustrate unstoppable faith
Right.
so remarkable. He took the most powerless figure in society and used her story to demonstrate the power of relentless prayer. It's a powerful example of what theologians call divine reversal,
Oh, wow.
where God's strength is most evident in human weakness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It challenges our assumptions about power and reminds us that true strength often lies in humility and unwavering faith.
Yeah.
So when we look at the parable through this lens,
Yeah.
it takes on a whole new meaning.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder if this widow could stand up to an unjust judge.
Right.
With such unwavering faith, what can we accomplish when we tap into that same source of strength?
That's a powerful question, and it's one that Guma explores throughout the book.
Yeah.
He argues that the widow's spirit isn't just an ancient concept.
Right.
It's alive and well in the modern world.
And to illustrate this point, he shares some truly inspiring stories of individuals who embody this persistent faith.
Like Claire from Glasgow, a nurse who spent over a decade caring for her husband while he battled ALS.
Yeah.
Talk about a challenging situation.
Wow.
But she never gave up hope.
I read about Claire's story in the excerpts.
Yeah.
You're right. It's so inspiring.
Yeah.
She started each day with prayer and meditation, grounding herself in Scripture.
Right.
It allowed her to face the day's challenges with grace and strength.
Yeah.
And get this, she even founded a nonprofit to support other caregivers.
Wow.
Transforming her pain into a powerful purpose.
It's a beautiful example of how faith can fuel not only personal resilience, but also a desire to serve others. And it's not an isolated case.
Yeah.
Guma shares another compelling story about Jose, a DACA recipient in Texas.
Right. Jose, driven by his faith that everyone deserves dignity and opportunity, fought tirelessly for immigration reform.
Right.
His story shows how persistent faith can lead to systemic change.
Yeah.
Advocating for justice and equality for all.
And his persistence paid off. His advocacy led to significant policy changes that benefited countless lives. It's a powerful reminder that even when we feel powerless, our faith, when combined with action, can create real change in the world.
These stories are so moving, and they make me think about the difference between simply working hard and tapping into a deeper source of strength and resilience. In fact, Guma dedicates a whole chapter to exploring this difference.
Right.
He contrasts what he calls worldly persistence with godly perseverance.
That's a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
Worldly persistence is often driven by fear, anxiety, and a need to control outcomes.
Yeah.
It can lead to burnout, exhaustion, and even a sense of emptiness.
Wow.
Even when you achieve what you set out to achieve.
He uses the story of Sarah, a marketing director suffering from burnout, to illustrate this point, right? She achieved success, but at the cost of her health and well-being, because her constant hustle led to a feeling that something was missing.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's like she was climbing the ladder of success,
Yeah.
only to find it leaning against the wrong wall.
Right.
But godly perseverance, on the other hand, emphasizes trust, surrender, and reliance on a higher power.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we're not in control of everything.
Yeah.
And that sometimes the best course of action is to let go and let God work.
It's about shifting our focus from self-effort to divine guidance.
Right.
Understanding that our strength ultimately comes from a source beyond ourselves.
Precisely. It's not about abandoning ambition or hard work.
Yeah.
But about approaching our goals with a sense of peace and trust.
Right.
That God is with us
Yeah.
every step of the way.
This reminds me of the story of Michael, the entrepreneur who found balance and ultimately more fulfilling success by incorporating prayer and meditation into his routine. It allowed him to make better decisions, see new opportunities, and approach his work with a renewed sense of purpose.
Michael's story is a great example of how aligning ourselves with a higher power can lead to both internal and external transformation.
Yeah.
But what's truly fascinating is that Guma doesn't rely solely on anecdotes and personal stories. He brings in science to support his argument.
Wait, science supports the power of prayer.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Studies from institutions like Duke University and UCLA have shown that prayer can actually reduce cortisol, the stress hormone.
Oh, wow.
And rewire neural pathways.
Okay.
Fostering resilience and emotional regulation.
So it's not just a feel-good practice, it literally changes our brains.
Exactly. Prayer fosters resilience, emotional regulation, and a sense of peace.
Wow.
That allows us to face challenges with a clearer mind and a calmer heart.
This is mind-blowing. I'm eager to hear more about Guma's framework for cultivating godly perseverance. But first, what's been the most impactful takeaway for you so far?
For me, it's the realization that persistence, when grounded in faith, isn't just about achieving our goals. It's about transforming ourselves in the process. It's about becoming more resilient, more compassionate, and more aligned with our true purpose.
Beautifully put. Let's take a moment to reflect on that before we delve into Guma's 5-step framework and discover how to practically apply these principles in our lives. Okay, so we have established that godly perseverance is more than just willpower.
Right.
It's about aligning ourselves with a higher power and tapping into
Right.
a deeper source of strength. Now I'm really curious to hear about Guma's 5-step framework for cultivating this kind of resilience.
He lays out a really practical and actionable framework that anyone can apply.
Okay.
Let's dive in. The first step, and this one really resonated with me, is identify your battle.
It sounds simple enough, but I can see how it's easy to get swept up in the chaos of our lives without taking the time to really pinpoint what's draining our energy and causing us anxiety.
Exactly. It's like trying to fight an enemy you can't even see.
Right.
Guma encourages us to get specific. What's that one thing that's keeping you up at night? That one challenge that feels like a heavy weight on your shoulders? Name it, write it down, bring it into the light.
I like that analogy of shining a light on the enemy.
Yeah.
Once you can clearly see what you're up against, you can start to formulate a plan of attack. And that leads perfectly into step 2, anchor in Scripture.
This is where we tap into the timeless wisdom and promises found in the Bible.
Okay.
Guma reminds us that the Bible isn't just an ancient text.
Right.
It's a source of strength, guidance, and comfort for our modern lives.
It's about finding those verses that speak directly to our struggles.
Right.
Those words that offer a glimmer of hope when we need it most.
He gives the example of David facing Goliath.
Okay.
David drew strength from the knowledge that the battle is the Lord's.
Right.
Reminding himself that he wasn't alone in his fight.
That's such a powerful image. It's a reminder that we're not fighting our battles alone.
Right.
God is with us every step of the way.
And to make this anchor even stronger, Guma suggests writing down those key verses.
Okay.
Keeping them visible and meditating on them throughout the day.
Yeah.
It's about creating a mental and spiritual stronghold that can weather any storm.
Okay, so we've identified our battle and anchored ourselves in Scripture. What's next?
Step 3 is create a prayer rhythm.
Okay.
This is about making prayer a consistent practice,
right?
Not just something we do when we're in crisis.
It's about shifting our perspective from viewing prayer as a last resort to seeing it as a daily conversation with God,
right?
A way to invite divine insight and guidance into our lives.
He shows a great example of Marcus, a busy entrepreneur who was feeling overwhelmed by the demands of his work.
Right.
He decided to carve out just 10 minutes each morning and evening for prayer and reflection.
That's something anyone can do, even with a hectic schedule.
Right.
And what were the results for Marcus? Did he find that incorporating prayer into his routine made a difference?
The results were transformative.
Wow.
His anxiety decreased. He felt more clarity in his decision-making. And his relationships even improved. It's proof that even small, consistent moments of prayer can have a ripple effect throughout our lives.
That's amazing. It really highlights the power of intentionality and discipline when it comes to nurturing our spiritual lives.
Wow.
And, you know, it's fascinating because science actually backs this up. Studies have shown that regular prayer can lower stress hormones and improve our overall sense of well-being.
It's like we're intentionally rewiring our brains for peace and resilience.
Yeah.
Creating a more positive and hopeful internal environment.
Okay, so we've identified our battle, anchored ourselves in Scripture.
Right.
And created a prayer rhythm. What's step 4?
Step 4 brings us to seek community.
Okay.
This one is especially important when we're facing challenges.
Right.
Because we're not meant to go through life's trials alone.
We all need a support system, people who understand what we're going through and can offer encouragement, guidance, and a listening ear.
Guma shares the story of Sam, a widower who isolated himself after his wife's death. It wasn't until he joined a support group that he finally felt like he could breathe again.
Right.
Like he wasn't alone in his grief.
Hearing those words, "I'm not okay either," can be so healing.
Right.
It reminds us that our struggles are varied and that we're not the only ones going through them.
Exactly. It normalizes our experiences and creates a sense of shared humanity.
Right.
Guma encourages us to find our tribe.
Yeah.
Whether it's a church group, a support group, a close-knit circle of friends, or even an online community. The important thing is to have a space where we can be vulnerable, share our burdens, and receive the strength and encouragement we need to keep going.
It's about recognizing that we're stronger together.
Right.
That sharing our burdens lightens the load.
And finally, step 5 is celebrate small wins.
Okay.
It's so easy to get caught up in the enormity of our challenges that we forget to acknowledge the progress we're making, even the small victories.
We can be so focused on the finish line that we miss the beauty of the journey, the small steps that ultimately lead us to our destination.
Guma tells the story of Tamika, a single mom who was struggling financially.
Okay.
She decided to celebrate every small win,
Okay.
even if it was just paying a bill on time or having a moment of peace amidst the chaos.
It's about shifting our focus from what we haven't accomplished to what we have accomplished, acknowledging our efforts and giving ourselves credit for the progress we're making.
And those small celebrations added up.
Yeah.
They helped her stay motivated, focused on the positive,
Okay.
and reminded her that she was making progress even when things felt overwhelming.
Right.
It's like those small wins fueled her fire and kept her moving forward.
So we've got the 5 steps. Identify your battle anchor in Scripture.
Right.
Create a prayer rhythm, seek community, and celebrate small wins.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful and practical framework for navigating challenges with grace, resilience, and unwavering faith.
It's a roadmap for tapping into a deeper source of strength
Right.
and approaching life's trials with a sense of hope and purpose.
But Guma doesn't stop there. He goes a step further and introduces a really powerful exercise for putting these principles into action. He calls it writing your widow's prayer.
This isn't just any prayer.
Okay.
It's about crafting a deeply personal, heartfelt dialogue with God that reflects your specific needs and your unwavering commitment to persevere.
It's about taking all those principles we've been discussing, all those stories of persistence, and weaving them into a powerful personal declaration of faith.
He gives the example of Leela,
Okay.
who was facing eviction and feeling utterly lost.
Oh, wow.
She wrote a simple prayer on her phone,
Okay.
expressing her surrender to God, her trust in his timing,
Okay.
and her determination to keep fighting.
It sounds like she was channeling the spirit of the persistent widow.
Yeah,
Refusing to give up, even when all hope seemed lost.
exactly. And incredibly, that prayer sparked a chain of events that led to a breakthrough. Strangers donated money. A church offered her a job.
Wow.
And eventually, she even started a nonprofit to help other homeless families.
Wow.
It's a powerful reminder that when we combine faith with action, even the most dire circumstances can be transformed.
So how do we go about writing our own widow's prayer? Does Guma offer any guidance on how to craft this personal dialogue with God?
He does. He suggests starting with surrender.
Okay.
Acknowledge your current reality, the challenges you're facing, and surrender them to God's care.
Okay.
It's about releasing the need to control everything.
Right.
And trusting that God is working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Even when we can't see it.
It's about letting go of our limited perspective and embracing the possibility that God has a bigger plan, even amidst the chaos and uncertainty.
He also reminds us to express our trust in God's timing.
Oh.
We may not understand why things are happening the way they are.
Right.
Or why answers to our prayers aren't coming as quickly as we'd like.
Yeah.
But trusting that God is working on our behalf, even when we can't see the evidence, is crucial.
It's about surrendering to a timeline we can't control.
Yeah.
And embracing the mystery of God's unfolding plan.
The next step is to declare our commitment to persevere.
Okay.
This is where we echo the spirit of the persistent widow, saying, God, I will keep knocking on your door until the breakthrough comes.
It's a powerful statement of faith.
Right.
A declaration that we won't give up even when the going gets tough.
And Guma emphasizes the importance of being specific.
Okay.
What are your tangible needs?
Yeah.
What areas of your life are causing you the most anxiety or stress?
Right.
Bring those specific requests to God.
Don't hold back. Share your heart's desires with God, knowing that He cares about every detail of your life.
And finally end with gratitude.
Okay.
Thank God for the blessings you already have.
Yeah.
And for the blessings you know are coming.
Gratitude shifts our perspective and opens our hearts to receive more. It's about recognizing the good amidst the challenges and cultivating a spirit of thankfulness even when we're facing difficulties.
This widow's prayer isn't just a one-time exercise.
Right.
It's something you can revisit, revise, and personalize as your journey unfolds.
It's a living, breathing prayer that evolves with us as we grow and face new challenges.
Guma even suggests sharing it with a trusted friend or mentor who can offer support and accountability.
It's a beautiful blend of personal reflection and community connection, weaving together the threads of individual faith and the support of those who love us.
And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about the science behind prayer?
Yes.
Well, writing your widow's prayer can actually enhance those neurological benefits.
Really? I'm all ears. Tell me more about that.
Well, expressive writing,
Okay.
especially when it involves expressing gratitude and affirming our beliefs,
Right.
has been shown to improve our emotional well-being and increase our resilience.
So it's not just a spiritual practice. It's a form of self-care
Right.
that can literally change our brains.
Exactly. It's like we're intentionally rewiring our neural pathways
Wow.
to be more aligned with hope, trust, and perseverance.
Okay.
We're essentially retraining our brains to embrace a more positive and resilient outlook on life.
That's incredible. It's like we're taking all this ancient wisdom,
Right.
blending it with modern science, and creating a powerful toolkit
Yeah.
for navigating life's challenges with grace and strength.
And that's not all. Guma doesn't stop with the widow's prayer exercise.
Okay.
He goes on to offer a whole chapter packed with additional tools
yeah.
or resources to support us on this journey of cultivating godly perseverance.
I'm really intrigued to hear about these resources. It sounds like Guma has created a
Right.
comprehensive guide for anyone seeking to deepen their faith and develop a more resilient spirit.
He has.
Yeah.
And I think it would be valuable to delve into those resources in detail.
Okay.
But before we move on, I'm curious to hear what stood out to you most
Yeah.
about this idea of writing a personalized widow's prayer.
For me, it's the sheer power of intentionality.
Okay.
It's not just about hoping things will get better.
Right.
It's about actively aligning our hearts and minds with a higher power
Yeah.
and declaring our commitment to persevere.
Mm.
It's about taking ownership of our spiritual journey and actively participating in the process of transformation.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
It's about shifting from a mindset of, I hope this will work out,
Right.
to a mindset of, I'm going to keep fighting for this with God's help
Right.
until the breakthrough comes.
It's about embracing our agency even amidst difficult circumstances.
Yeah.
And trusting that we have the power with God's guidance
Right.
to create a better reality.
Absolutely. It's a powerful message of hope and empowerment.
Now let's delve into those resources Guma has shared and see how we can further equip ourselves to walk this path of godly perseverance. We've been unpacking some really powerful concepts from The Widow's Secret, and I'm excited to explore these additional tools and resources that Guma recommends for cultivating godly perseverance. What treasures has he hidden away for us?
He offers a wide range of practical strategies.
Okay.
And one that really stood out to me is the simple but profound act of journaling. Guma emphasizes its power for self-discovery and spiritual growth.
Journaling always seems to be on those good habits lists.
Right.
But I'll admit sometimes I find it hard to know where to start.
Yeah.
Does Guma provide any specific guidance on how to make journaling a meaningful practice?
He does. He offers some really insightful prompts to get the words flowing.
Okay.
One that particularly resonated with me
Yeah.
is, what blessings can I see in my life right now?
Okay.
It's a powerful reminder to focus on gratitude, especially when we're
Right.
in the midst of challenges.
It's like training our minds to see the good even when things feel tough.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's so easy to get fixated on what's going wrong that we forget to acknowledge the blessings that are already present.
Exactly. And writing those blessings down helps to shift our perspective.
Yeah.
It's like we're creating a tangible record of God's goodness in our lives.
Right.
A reminder that we're not alone and that we're constantly being supported, even in subtle ways.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's like we're creating our own personal, gratitude journal to remind us of all the things we have to be thankful for.
Another prompt he suggests is, how have I seen God at work in my life recently?
Oh.
It encourages us to reflect on those moments where we experienced divine intervention.
Right.
Those synchronicities or unexpected blessings that seem to come out of nowhere.
It's about training ourselves to see the hand of God at work in our lives, even in the seemingly ordinary moments.
And when we start to recognize those moments, we begin to cultivate a deeper sense of trust and awareness.
Okay.
That God is always with us, guiding our steps and orchestrating events for our good.
It's like we're becoming spiritual detectives searching for clues of God's presence in our everyday experiences.
Now, in addition to journaling, Guma also encourages us to engage with scripture and other inspirational readings. He specifically recommends books like The Power of a Praying Life by Stormy O'Martian and When God Doesn't Fix It by Laura Story.
I've heard great things about both of those books.
They're both incredibly powerful and insightful.
Yeah.
The power of a praying life offers practical guidance on how to develop a deeper and more consistent prayer life. While when God doesn't fix it, explores the complexities of faith.
Right.
When answers to prayers don't come as quickly or in the way we expect.
Those are definitely topics that resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially those who are going through challenging times and questioning their faith.
Absolutely. And for those who are looking for stories of resilience and the indomitable human spirit, Guma recommends Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. It's an incredible true story about a World War II pilot who survived a plane crash, 47 days adrift at sea.
Oh my goodness.
And years as a prisoner of war.
Wow.
It's a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome even the most unimaginable hardships.
Wow. That sounds like an intense but incredibly inspiring read. I'm adding that to my reading list for sure.
Yeah.
Now, for those who might thrive in more structured learning environments, what does Guma suggest?
He recommends exploring study guides and curricula that delves deeper into the concept of persistent faith. Programs like the Daniel Plan, faith-based health and wellness program, and the Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren offers structured guidance and support for applying biblical principles to different areas of our lives.
It sounds like these programs provide a roadmap for spiritual growth.
Yeah.
A step-by-step guide for integrating faith into our daily routines and decision-making.
And what's great is that these programs often involve a community aspect, connecting us with like-minded individuals who can offer support and encouragement as we walk this path together.
It's back to that idea of seeking community, recognizing that we're stronger together and that sharing our experiences can be so powerful.
Now, Guma also recognizes that we live in a digital age. And he highlights the value of online courses and webinars. These platforms offer accessible learning opportunities from experts in various fields, including spirituality, mindfulness, and even the intersection of neuroscience and faith.
It's amazing how technology can connect us with a wealth of knowledge and resources no matter where we are in the world.
And speaking of connection, Guma doesn't forget the importance of face-to-face interactions. He encourages us to engage in small group discussions where we can share our stories, support each other, and learn from each other's experiences.
I imagine those conversations can be so enriching. Creating a safe space for vulnerability and authentic connection.
He even provides thought-provoking discussion questions to spark meaningful conversations like, how has persistence in prayer changed your life? And what does godly perseverance look like in your daily life?
Those are great questions. They invite us to reflect on our own experiences and learn from the diverse perspectives of others.
And of course, in today's digital landscape, online communities and social media platforms offer incredible opportunities for connection and support. Guma highlights the power of hashtags. Like hashtag never give up, always look up. Where people share inspiring stories and encourage each other to keep the faith.
It's a beautiful example of how social media can be used to spread positivity and create a sense of global community around shared values.
He also recommends joining faith-based forums and groups on platforms like Facebook and Reddit, where we can connect with like-minded individuals and access a wealth of resources.
It's about expanding our support system and reminding ourselves that we're not alone in this journey. There are countless others who are walking a similar path, facing similar challenges and seeking to deepen their faith.
It's a powerful reminder that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. A global community of believers united by a common desire to connect with a higher power and live a more purposeful life.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've explored Guma's 5-step framework for cultivating godly perseverance, delved into the powerful practice of writing our own widow's prayer, and uncovered a treasure chest of resources for deepening our faith and strengthening our resilience.
It's been an incredibly enriching conversation. And I hope our listeners feel inspired and empowered to embark on their own journeys of persistent faith.
I couldn't agree more. The Widow's Secret offers a powerful reminder that our struggles are not in vain. There are opportunities to grow, to deepen our faith, and to become more resilient and compassionate individuals.
The key takeaway, I believe, is that cultivating godly perseverance is an ongoing process. It's a journey of faith. And like any journey, it requires effort, commitment, and the willingness to lean on a power greater than ourselves.
So as we conclude this deep dive, I encourage you to pick up a copy of The Widow's Secret.
Yes.
And continue exploring this path of persistent faith. Reflect on Guma's 5 steps. Craft your widow's prayer and tap into the wealth of resources he shares.
And remember, you are not alone in this journey.
Yeah.
There's a community of believers, both near and far, who are walking this path alongside you.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Okay.
But the conversation doesn't have to end here. Keep exploring, keep praying.
Right.
Keep persisting, and keep believing that with God's help, all things are possible.
Beautifully said.
Until next time.